Hey guys, I'm JD from Ice 9 Kills. Today I'm going to show you our touring rig that we use for our lights and our guitars and our instruments, InEars, all the good stuff. So basically our setup is we have this kind of brain world that does all of our work. This is where it captures our sound from the stage, and it's where we do all our InEars and all of our everything. This is the brain for the show. So basically to start off, everything runs pretty much from the laptop that's not being played by the band. So we have, the guitar for myself, and Justin plays bass, Connor's on drums, and Spencer and I are on vocals. And besides all that stuff that sources from those things, like the backing tracks and all the patch changes and all the digital stuff comes from this brain, from this computer. So I'm running Reaper, and as you can see, I have a ton of different tracks. Some of them are layered harmonies that double up with me when I'm singing. Some of them are with Spencer. I have a ton of samples like piano and electronics and all kinds of digital stuff going on. And then I have a couple lanes set up for patch changes, which tell some of the stuff down here when to switch from one sound to another, whether it's a guitar effect or a vocal effect that changes, a delay or something like that. So all that stuff is pre-programmed so that we don't have to put our foot on the ground and have pedals and cables running out to the front. So it keeps it very kind of contained and even and convenient for everybody. So in this main brain over here, the basic setup is that this is the instrument section, and starting at the top is what I use. I use my Axe FX2 Mark II by Fractal Audio, and this is also the same unit that I use to pre-record my backing tracks that play some of the other guitar parts that I can't play, being that I'm one person. So this is what I use for all the guitar tones and everything, and this sends out through some of the stuff that I'll show you in this case later. And below this is where we get to the wireless section, which one is for me, for guitar, and one is for bass, for Justin. And below that is the wireless system for Spencer's vocals. And all these three come into here, and then they disperse amongst the appropriate gear. So below the wireless is where we start with Justin's rig. This here is his tuner. He uses a strobe tuner, very accurate, and you can put cool little messages, funny stuff, and inside jokes that no one will get right here. Below that is what we use to run the gate on his signal. I put a gate here to clean up the signal after it goes through some processing, which is right below it. This is the Dark Glass Electronics Microtubes B7K, which is a pretty awesome unit. It's Velcroed in, but not too much. And these are the settings that we're using for this tour if anyone wants to copy and have some fun. This is a straight unit that we use that just goes right from his bass to the wireless to this gate, which cleans up some of the distortion that is created from the amplified tone, and cleans it right up, and it's a nice solid signal going right to the front of the house directly from that. So beyond this pedal and this gate, there's nothing else left in the bass chain. It's just pretty simple, and all the rest of the work is done at front of house. Pretty cool. So in my guitar tone that I've programmed into my Axe FX, I've always kind of modeled it after what I used to use, which was a real high gain amp. I always went for the 5150 sound, like the original blocks, and some comparable amps to that were like a Soldano Hot Rod DL50 or something like that. But the high gain, really crunchy, it's got a little sizzle at the top, that's always been my tone, and I've actually been able to program into this. And when I turn this wheel, you can see that it just has all the different songs. Each patch is the same exact guitar tone, but they all have different scenes, which have just different settings like delays, choruses, reverbs, and throughout each song on the record, they all have different effects, so those things tend to change, but the beginning of the chain here, where the amp and the driver and the gate are all the same throughout every one of the patches, and it makes it super convenient going from each one when the laptop tells it when to switch. So this side is the other half. This one actually does a little bit more work than that side, but they have a patch bay in the back where they connect, so all the signal that goes into one goes through those cables down into this rig, and it all goes into this unit and this unit, which are our in-ear setups. This one for the top, this captures all the microphones on stage, any of the instruments, the kick trigger, all that stuff goes right into this one, and we mix it for ourselves so we can hear wirelessly in our ears everything that's going on stage. and it really adds a completely different dynamic to your stage show. You don't have bleed from, you know, standing in front of monitors or having tons of microphones on stage. The fact that so much of it is digital, comes into here, really kind of eliminates a large chunk of that noise that you get when you're on stage. So we ended up getting another one of those to use for a front of house rig, because, you know, when you're on support tours or even when you're on a headlining tour, sometimes just having to plug in anywhere from 15 to 20 cables and then run them all over the stage is kind of a mess. So what we do is we plug into a splitter in the back that takes each line and puts one here and one here. So we have all our own for InEars. The second one is basically its own front of house mixing console that can be run from an iPad from our sound guy that runs around the floor wherever he wants to be. And then all we do from there is he mixes it on his iPad, and we send a left and right output from this to the actual front of house at the venue. And that really only takes up 2 channels, whereas the rest of the show can take up, like I said, 15 to 20, sometimes even more. And it makes it really easy for us to kind of get in and out of a tour and be out of everyone's way. So that takes care of the InEars and the front of house setup. This little box up here is what we use for Connor's kick drum trigger. What we do is we mic his drums to get all the real tones, but we also double in a trigger for the kick drum, and he has a line that just runs from his kick directly to this rig, and this does all the powering and the sampling of that. It goes through the DI and hooks up to the 2 rigs here through the splitter, and Connor's all set. So down below this we have a DI setup, which you don't actually see in the front. I use it for the splitter in the back. There's an in and output that I can just do from the rear that kind of helps keep my cable management together. But if I run into a venue where I do need to run it XLR, I have the option to just plug right in the front, flip the ground on it, and then I can avoid some of that noise that you get from different venues, different stages, different power, stuff like that. So below that one, the last thing in the rig is the wireless setup, and this goes back to this setup here with the InEars. Everything that gets mixed on here gets sent to these 4 individual units that then wirelessly transfer that mix to each person on their belt pack for their InEars, so we can hear what's going on stage. And with the exception of all this stuff, the only wild card that changes sometimes is this little guy. This is a little converter called DMXs by Entech, and it basically takes MIDI signal from my tracks, converts it to DMX, and then sends it out to our light rig when we do headliners. And I can basically run a complete light show without touching anything, pre-programmed, ready to go, right from the laptop, in sync with all of our music when we play. It's really cool. So within Reaper, I can program all the lights that are on stage for our setup when we do a headliner. What I usually do is in this program, just as one example, I have all these little buttons set up to run triggered signals to each light. Now what this does is it kind of just looks like a bunch of mess, but all these little red spots here are telling one light what to do, whether it's telling it to turn on or to be a specific color and then turn back off. All these little things I basically have to pre-punch. It kind of takes a while, but you get the hang of it after a while, and this is how I can make it sync up directly with maybe a kick drum or a specific vocal part or a chant that, you know, we want the crowd to be part of. It gives me the opportunity to kind of customize as much as possible, as much as I want, really, to our show. It's really cool. So what it does is it goes through that little DMXs box down here, and it goes out the back to all these lights here. This one specifically is a new addition. This is the American DJ Y-Fly, and it's really cool because it's a wireless transmitter for DMX lighting, and this little box sends it out to some lights that I have up in the front so that we have lights on our face without having to run, you know, a 100-foot cable through the ceiling up and through there. So that's a new addition. It's actually really cool, and this is the first time we're using it, and I've had great luck with it. So coming around the front here, this is kind of our show. We have in here, we have LED tape on the inside. Connor and I built these ourselves, and plexiglass over the front so the LED tape kind of shines through the plexiglass and lights up the whole block, making it look like a big light. So we have different sections for each part of the logo. We have a top and a bottom, and each one of these legs is a different set of lights that light up. On the top we have some LEDs, pretty standard, straightforward, and then we have a strobe, and there's one of these whole contraptions on each side. And then in between the drums, we have some similar items as well, like the strobes in the back. That really is for Connor, so he can, enjoy the strobing effect that we and everyone else loves to be part of. And also in his area, we have LED tape running through his kit. We installed those ourselves and put this wiring system through the holes, where he can then connect DMX lines, which go to another box that go to another set of cables that connect, and that's how they all talk. It's computer stuff, so it's actually really cool. And up in the front we have two geysers. These guys will throw up a bunch of smoke and fog, and it actually will shoot light through the smoke and light it up. It's really cool. Besides that, we use some house light if we need it. Otherwise, our stuff usually takes care of the whole show. You just black it out and run the fully programmed set. Everything kind of goes along. It's really simple and easy once it all put together. Pretty cool. So over in Guitar World, we have two boats. One is the main boat that has everything we usually use. The other is kind of like the backup, just in case something happens. Run to this one, grab the other guitar. But for me, I'm keeping 3 guitars in my main rig for this tour. I have currently a stringless guitar and a second stringless guitar. Today is string changing day, so I haven't gotten to it yet. But what I have for me is my first guitar in line. This is my guitar that I tuned to drop D, and this is for Nature of the Beast. It's actually the only song we use it for. This one is my Ernie Ball Music Man JP6, and I picked a couple different color options for it. I went with the all rosewood neck and the sparkle white. The cool thing about Ernie Ball is that they gave me the opportunity to put a set of pickups in it that I've actually really become accustomed to, that I love. They're by Fishman, and they are the Fluence Classic and El Nico set, and they are passive and active, and they also run on a rechargeable lithium-ion battery pack. All 3 of my guitars are set up to do that same setup. The only difference is in my 7-string, which is my second guitar in line. This is the same model, but it's the JP7, and it has Fishman Fluence pickups in it as well as 7 strings already on it. But this set of pickups is the modern Fluence Fishman pickups. This is a different set. It's a little bit more saturated, as some might say, but it actually works out really great for our tunings because the 7-string stuff is a little grittier anyways, and it really couples well with all the music and stuff. So on these guitars, I use the Ernie Ball strings, the power slinkies, sometimes the skinny top, heavy bottoms. I kind of change it up here and there, and I have different tunings. So this guitar is tuned to drop A, and what I do is I have a set of 9 to 52, I think. I forget. I think it's 952 or 9 to 56, but I love it. I love the strings. I love the guitar. They've always been my favorite, and I'm really happy to have 3 of them on this tour. I'd have 10 if I could, but I don't have the space. This is my last one. This one is actually my favorite. This is the Dargy Green, the Dargy Delight Green that they made for an anniversary edition of John Petrucci's guitars, which are the JP6s and JP7s. This one has the roasted maple neck, and I went with the gold hardware like the white one just because I thought, why not? They bring out the color that's actually in the guitar, the sparkles and stuff. And this is the same pickup setup as the white one as well, the Fishman Fluence Classic and El Nico set. Battery pack in the back, same deal as before, and it does have strings on it usually. Thanks for stopping by the Hell in the Hallways tour. Thanks for checking out our gear rig rundown. Check us out on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and check out our new album, Every Trick in the Book. It's out now, and we'll see you next year.